Hi everybody, welcome. Thank you for joining me today, live and in person. This is really exciting. Both Brian and I are very happy to be here today and get ready for some simulating conversation because we're going to go through the automation in simulation mode. I just want to welcome you all back. It's been a long time and thank you for being a part of Tuesdays with Grace. And hello from Jigger, Louisiana. That's Lila Jean. Welcome, Sherry. Critchfield from Kansas. We've got, who else? I'm trying to see. Lynn from Kentucky. So welcome, everybody. I'm Carla from Little Salt Lake City, Utah. So let's jump in. And I've got some exciting news about the automation at the end of the program today. And we're going to jump in and I'm going to show you the simulation mode. Now, you don't have to be connected to the automation to see the functions and how it works. And that's what hooking it up in playing around in simulation mode is really important because it allows you to learn the functions and understand the processes that you need so you get familiar with it. And then it's not going to be so intimidating. So notice my setup here. I have my trusty little laptop. I miss my two other screens. I have two other screens in my office, but I set up my tablet here off to the side. So we're going to use both of them today, and I have my mouse. So if you don't have a mouse to connect to your tablet, it's worth buying just a little cheap one and hooking it up in your USB connection and just keeping your power cord plugged in. And that's how I set it up, and I use this all the time to play with. So you can just sit there and play with it. So I'm going to open up the automation. And so what's nice about our automation is we allow you to load the automation on 3 devices. So you can do it on your laptop, you can do it on your tablet, you can have it on your tablet, and you can have it on your desktop or something else that you're traveling with so that you can take it wherever you go. So let's open it up on our tablet here, and I'm going to stand back where Brian's going to show you. So I'm going to open it up, and I'm just going to double click to open up my QCT5 on this, and then I'm going to open it up on my desktop, okay? And you'll see my little arrow. I put it over here on my desktop, well, my laptop. It's my desktop too. So we're going to show you what that looks like as well. So I'm just going to open it up, and you'll notice that on my laptop here, it says the program is in simulation mode. Do you wish to continue simulating? And we want to say yes. And that just means that we need to disconnect our USB cable so we're not connecting to it. And this one over here says we are unable to connect to the automation, and that's okay. We want to continue on in simulation mode on this one as well. So say okay. And now we're opening up. Just ignore this. It's just telling me that my gold card has expired. That's okay on both of them. And now I opened it up. So on my laptop screen, I see the home screen and also on my tablet. So I'm at the same place on both of them. So now I can open up my help files in one and show you some interesting things and how to play with it in simulation mode. So open up your tablets if you want to join me today, and let's get playing. Now, right now I'm going to come over to my tablet over here, and I am going to come over to the help icon. Okay? So see the help icon right there where my little arrows? I'm going to click on that, and you'll notice all the help files I spent COVID writing. All right, so what I want to do is I have changed from one to the other, but I want to open up the pantograph. It's number 1, and it's the first one I really want you to look at. So we're going to open up this pantograph PDF help file. Hopefully it'll open up here. Okay, so there we go. So let me get to the top. because I was playing around with it earlier. I'm really sorry. Don't get sick on me, okay? Where it says right here, it says Quilt Motion QCT5 Pantograph. So that's the mode we're going to play in. So I'm going to come over here to my laptop and I'm going to open up my pantograph because I'm going to go through the motions and show you how the help files work. So on my laptop, it's asking for the safe area. So I want to open up the largest safe area that I can, so I can play around with all different sizes of quilts and display them. So I'm going to say, okay, and now I'm going to put the largest safe area I can on the automation, and the largest width that you can set is 150. So just know that 150 is the largest width, and just say okay. And the largest depth that you can set is 30 inches. And say okay. And now notice that my little screen right here is 150 wide by 30 inches high. Now I can play around and change that to be 80 by 80, different quilt sizes or whatnot. So we're just going to stay and just make it, let's do 50 by 50. That is my quilt size, okay? So notice over here on my tablet, so we're going to do both, Brian. So I've got my help files up, and it says Quilt Motion QCT5 Pantograph. Now we're going to start going through it, and I talk about the pantograph features continued. So it talks about what a pantograph is as I go through the help files, the different styles of pantographs that you can use. I feel like it's really important for us to understand what pantographs are used for what designs on your quilt. So that's what I quickly talk about. Now you maybe know this, but a new quilter may not know that, and I just felt like it was really important for you to understand as a new quilter, if you're just barely new, what pantographs are called and what it is. So on this one I talk about sashings and borders and just a lot of different things, and how important it is to adjust your take-up rail. And then on page 8, it talks about important things to do after you're attaching to your leader. So I talk about attaching the quilt, the size that you're supposed to make your backing, your batting, and you know the size of your top, but your backing and batting always need to be wider and longer. Really important for you to know. So, and then you need to tack it down. So we're just going along, and it says pantograph continued on page 9, and then I talk about the different modes of pantograph in the help files. And we're going to start in, and then it tells you to jump in and set your safe area. And I talk about simulation mode versus just actually connecting. And you can just go through this and play with one and scroll through it and just see what it does. So that's kind of enough about the help files. So just one important thing is that the size of your pattern is determined by the throat size of your machine. So if you have a smaller machine, you need to make sure that you are sizing your design so it will sew from the top of your quilt as it's rolled or shifted to the very bottom of your quilt. So sizing that design is such an important, and scaling it to the right. The right scale is really important. So I'm just pointing out really important things that you need to remember as you jump in. And then we get into the panto stacker screen. And that's where we are right now. So I've got the panel stacker and the pantograph screen continued. So across the top of my laptop here, you see all the little icons, and I go through each of them individually and talk about what they do and how they work. Okay. So those are the help files, and I continue to go through them, play and explore. So I'm going to shut off my tablet. I'm not going to really use it, and we're just going to jump onto my laptop, and I'm going to talk about the processes. So I just wanted you to be aware of the importance and how it works with the help files and how I wrote them. So the next thing I want to talk about is the two different styles of frames. The hoop frame is different than the rolling frame. The rolling frame has 2 to 3 rails, okay, and you roll your fabric on it. The hoop frames are the smaller size, and you are shifting your fabric and rolling them up as you quilt. So we have made the automation work with both styles. So I'm going to jump in and show you the different features and how they work on both frames. Now I think I already have it set up for the hoop frame in here right now. So let's just jump in and let me show you how that works, and then we're going to go back, set it up for the rolling frame, come back in and show you the different processes, because it's really exciting and very cool. So if you wanted to know if you had a hoop frame right now and you wanted to see how it works on a rolling frame, you just change the frame, and I'll show you how to do that a little later on. So we're in the pantograph screen, and I've changed my quilt size. So your total width and your total height is the size of your quilt. So when you're setting your quilt up to be designed and putting your design on it, this is what you're going to do. So you're going to click on your total width, and you're going to put the width of your quilt top. Hopefully you've measured it before you put it on the frame, because it's really hard to measure it after. One of those important steps to always write down and remember. Okay, so we can change it from 50 to 50. We can go from 70. Say okay, and then the total height, we can change that. I like to just make them nice and square. That's how I am. I'm a square person. So anyway, that's the size of my quilt, and we're just playing around, so you feel free to make it any size you want. You can add 70.5 or 70.12, I don't care. Just play around with it to see how it works and how it functions. So now I've set up the size of my quilt. Now we're going to go through and see what the buttons do. And down here, I'm not going to go through the buttons up here on the top unless I don't like my design and everything, because these are the really important functions of how you're setting up your quilt. Now, if you want to see how these work, I suggest that you jump into the help files and play around and see, or just even the ruler is awesome. It's one of my favorite tools, just like the marking tool. There are several features in the pantograph that just are so much fun. So let's come over here to Panto mode. It's right here, you see that it says, and right now I am Power Panto. Now, we have 3 different modes to quilt a pantograph in, and I'm going to start out with the top one, and that's Power Panto. Now, Power Panto is the fastest and easiest way to sew an edge-to-edge design all the way across and all the way down. So what it does is it takes the total width and the total height. Then you select the design that you want to use, a continuous line design that you want to use, and it takes those calculations and decides how many designs will fit across and how many rows down. So you don't have to figure it out. You don't have to do any calculations whatsoever. Totally different than the beginnings package, because it just makes it quick and easy. And it's going to make it an edge-to-edge design, so you want to make sure that it's sewing off of your quilt. So that little extra that you're adding to it is really important, and you're making sure that you're tacking down your sides. So let's go in and select our design. Sorry, wrong mouse here. So you can notice in here that along the top, I have my different file folders full of designs. So when you purchase and import your designs, make sure that you're doing them in a good, concise manner, so that you're not double purchasing designs, which I have done multiple times. So I'm going to come over here to continuous line, which I'm already in, and I'm just going to pick out a design that I think will be fun. And it's my little curves and spirals right here, and I'm going to click on it, select it. The little blue box selects it, okay? And after I've selected it, then I'm just going to move over here and click on open. And see how it filled up? It decided for me how many designs across and how many rows down. So, but notice right here, it says my pattern height is 14 inches. If I was quilting with a 15-inch machine or smaller, I could not quilt that pattern height all the way from the top to the bottom. So it allows you to adjust the size of the design in Power Panto. See this minus and this plus? If I wanted to enlarge the design, if I had a 21-inch machine, boy, you could make it larger. But I don't, so I'm just going to make it smaller and see how it scales it down. And you just want to scale it down to the size that you feel will quilt from top to bottom. And see, it's more dense now. But we can come up here to the top and see what it looks like. See this little zoom in, zoom out, this little magnifying glass? You could see what the design looks like. So if you want to magnify it, just kind of zoom in on it. See? Just play around. And now I can fit it back. And then I can get out of this. This little red X gets me out of that and brings my little tools back to the top. Okay. So what if I wanted to, well, zoom back in again. Let me zoom back in. And let me show you what the spacing does in Power Panto. So the spacing spaces it vertically. You don't want to do it horizontal, but see what the spacing does? This is all you do in simulation mode. You just play. Now, I don't like the look of that, but you can see what the functions do and how they work. So we're just going to pull them back together by narrowing it down and see if I started going the other way, what's going to happen. They're going to cross each other. So if you go back too far, they're going to overlap and it's not going to look good. So I keep going, sorry. Wrong way. There we go. And I want to go to 0, okay? And I see that my spacing looks really good. Now, this other function over here, these flips, it flips the design. Now, they're fun to play with, but not every design will work when you flip it. When you flip a design, you're breaking the connections that it connects from one design to the other. So you remember, it's a continuous line design. So when you're flipping them, you're turning them, and you break those connections. So that's why it's important, if you want to try different flips, to play with it inside simulation mode and see what it does. So we're just going to start clicking. And it's going to flip it one direction. And in the help files, I tell you what it does, but you can actually see. Just keep flipping. And I really don't like it flipped because it's going to overlap and see what it does. But some designs look really great. And in fact, coming soon, there's going to even be a new feature for this. I can't tell you, I wish I could, but it's going to be very exciting and add you more opportunities in Power Panto. So I don't really like the flips, but I just wanted to show you what they do. So I'm going to flip on this X, and it's going to change it back. And that's all there is to it. So let's show you what it is over here. So this Read Panto is where you save the design, and the Save Panto is where you pull up an existing pantograph that you have already, saved. And this is where you save it. Now, I want you to see the safe area. If you click on that, it's going to show you how far down it's going to quilt for your safe area, so you don't go past that. And then the sew through clipped, it's just really important to keep it checked, because sometimes you want it to sew through and connect through a clipped one. So if you want to know, and then if you want to click down here at the bottom where it says pattern fitting, if you check on the one, you'll see that it kind of sizes in, and then if you check on the other, kind of pushes out. So just play with those and see what you like. We don't have to do any of those, but now we get to see, we're done with our design. Now we can go and see what it's going to look like being quilted. So instead of placing as a single pattern, because I can show you what that looks like. So it's quite a dense little pattern, but let me show you what it does. It's going to take me in. And this would be more for a small block. All right, for power placement, come on, we can do this. It takes a minute longer, then we're going to go back and sew in zones. But it's doing all its calculations to make it work. You can see what it's doing. It's creating it so it's going to work. Okay, this pattern has been resized to fit in the safe area. So that's what it's going to do, and just say okay. Okay. So now this little dense design, I can go and do it in a small dinky little place. But it really, yeah, that's what it looks like. So you really wouldn't scale a 70 by 70 on 4-point placement, but I just wanted to show you what it does. So let's get out of this, okay, and go back into our pantograph. So this little red X is going to get me out of this. Now let's see what it does in Sew-in Zones. And I think I have it set up for the hoop frame. I'm not sure, but we'll go back and change it for whatever one. So it's allocating, so then it's going to ask me if I want to save it, blah, 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 yada, yada, and we're going to move on. So, okay, so I'm not going to save it because I'm just playing around on the computer in simulation mode. But notice right here, I do have it on the rolling frame, so I'm going to show you what the rolling frame looks like. So, notice I have the center placement. So on this screen here, this is your quilting interface screen. Notice right here across the top it says quilting interface. This is where you're going to quilt it. On the quilting interface screen is where you go and change the settings of the automation. So let me show you this. And you'll want to do this before you start quilting. Okay, so this is where you can set your sewing speed of the automation to fast, medium, or slow. Now, I'm not a big fan of the fast, but I do like medium or slow. I think it sews a little prettier. And then your tie-offs. Your tie-offs are those little anchor stitches that tie them off so it's not, when you cut it, it's not going to come undone. So you can change your tie-off stitch to up to 4. And then you can do your tie-off mode. You can do back and forth, or you can click on this other one, or micro stitch. I like back and forth. I really like it anchored, and I probably would go up to 3, but it's totally up to you how you want to quilt. So I'd play around with this and see which way you like it. Now you can do the automatic pull, bobbin pull, or you and deposit trim lines, so just whatever defaults you want. Now this is also really important, the stitches per inch. You can set it so it's 10, 11, 12. Look at your design. Now this has swirls and more rounded edges, so I think I probably like a few more stitches, so I'm just going to up it. What's going on here? It's not liking me today. Oh, come on. It's clipping stuff still. All right, so that's where you'll change it. When it's connected to the automation, I promise you, it will allow you to change. See, I got it to 13. It just was taking a few extra minutes. Our internet's a little slow. Hopefully you have high speed. Okay, so now I probably go up to 13, sometimes 14, but if you don't like the design, stop it right away because you don't want to unpick a dense design. So then you just want to click on OK, and this is going to tell you the pattern statistics and all that. So you just click on OK, and now we're ready to place our design. Because I have this little circle here, I know I'm on the center placement. So if I wanted to just click on this, and I want to notice this little arrow right here at the top. That is your sewing machine in simulation mode. Wherever this arrow is where the pattern will be placed, okay? So I want it down just a little bit, and I want to click on this right here and see what it's going to do. It's going to shift the design. Okay. And notice how it's down, and if I had done it up here in this area, it would have shifted the design, but the screen would go red, and it would mean I'm out of my safe area because this red is my safe area. Give it a second. And because we're playing around, we can do this. But because I just want to show you what it does, yeah. Now we could continue on with it even in the safe area. It doesn't matter because we're just playing around, but I wanted to show you. So over here, now if I wanted to tap on sew, it would sew, and notice right here on the edges on this how this is why I would want it just so off of my quilt, because I wouldn't want this continuous line to be sewn inside my quilt area. So make sure that if you're doing an edge-to-edge design in Power Panto, that it is sewing off the quilt, because it's going to connect it and it's going to sew straight down. And make sure your backing is wide enough and long enough to take care of that. So notice how it clipped it off onto the sides, both sides right here, and across the top. So I'd want that. But notice how down here on the bottom, it didn't clip it, because it's going to nest the next zone in that area. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how this quickly, you can see how it sews. I'll start it. It's going to move over there. See my little sewing machine? So how it's moving across the top and sewing away, and you could stop it. It's kind of cool. Just like when you're sewing, notice how it came down off the sides. And I'll stop it here. And you could go and pretend to repair a pattern or whatnot. But that's how it sews. And then when it gets to the end, you're going to go through the process of marking and setting your next zone. So I just kind of wanted to show you real quickly what it looks like. So we're just going to let it finish up and do its thing. So that you can learn the process of marking your quilts for the next zone, which is so important. If you are not using a sticker or a piece of tape or a great method for marking your zones, you're really missing out, because if you had something interrupt your computer, you lost your design, marking will make it so much easier for you to come back in and start from where you left off, because you have those existing marks. So that's one thing when I teach my class, we go through religiously, because I've learned from experience that marking is so important. And do not roll your quilt until after everything is marked. And we just have one more area to go. Kind of fun to see what it does, how quickly it's going across, and sewing. And you can see the direction, how the design is going back and forth. Okay, we're going to come to the end here, and I'm going to just, it walks you through everything that you need to do when you're quilting. And so we're almost done here, my little design. And this process is the same for whatever mode you use. How it's going to mark it, how you're going to mark it, and how you're going to roll it to the next zone. All right, so we're done. It says finish zone. Okay, after you're done, if we had an actual quilt on, after you were done, finished with your zone, you would pull your machine towards you and pull up your bobbin thread and cut it so you didn't have any tails hanging down. Then you're going to click on finish zone. And then it's going to ask you questions. Have you completed sewing this zone? Yeah, we have. This includes pulling the bobbin thread and making any needed repairs. So if you needed to fix something, this is your chance to do it. Okay, if so, touch yes to advance to the next zone. So we're ready. Okay, so we're going to click on yes. So notice my little sewing machine. It moved, and it's going to engage and move. If you were actually connected, it would engage and move to where you're going to mark your next zone. This is where you're going to take your little sticker, put it underneath your little foot, and tap on your single stitch. So I'm going to tap on single stitch. Oh, and it says I'm done. Notice that little red mark right there? There's a little red mark right there. It's kind of hard to see. But then it says continue right down here. And we're going to say continue. So we're going to go to zone 2A. And we're going to say continue. And it's going to ask you, are all of the zone markers, have they been properly placed? And you're going to say yes. Okay, this machine will now move to where the fabric marker for the next zone should be positioned. Say okay. All right, so then your machine will engage again and move all the way back to where you're going to roll that little sticker. Say, okay, okay. You're going to roll that little sticker that is placed down here all the way up underneath the foot of the machine. And that's all there is to it. And then you're ready to place your next zone. So notice how my machine is right there. I just mark, click on that, and I have now marked zone 2. Really important, those stickers are going to be lifesavers for you. And then we could go through the motions again. So we're done with that. So let me show you what Zone Manager is. Let's jump in there. It says opening the Zone Manager allows you to select which zone to place. So if you had saved your design and you were done for the day, you need to make sure the marker for whatever zone that you're going to come back and sew is already placed and that you've rolled it, okay, to that spot. So since I have done my zone 1 and I'm starting the next day, we want to go to zone 2. Okay, here's my zone 2, and I would just say I'm on zone 2 and I want the center placement, and because I had my little sticker, I could just come back in and it's going to allow me to put my needle right over that sticker and that hole I made, and I have placed my design. So this is your Zone Manager where you can change it from center placement to 4-point. Say you had a border around your quilt and you wanted to quilt an edge-to-edge design inside that border and you didn't want it to sew off into it, you would use 4-point placement. That's a great way to quilt an edge-to-edge design in the center area. You can do your zone start position. You can change it from alternate to sew from the left, but we like alternate. And then the sewing direction, you want it to be, now this is really important. When you're in 4-point placement, you don't want it to sew on the edges down. So you wouldn't want it continuous. You would want it to be back and forth. Notice how it doesn't have the sewing line on the sides. So make sure that you're watching what you're doing so you don't have it sewing inside the border. All right, thanks Janet for asking questions. Judy asked, does the machine move with the beginnings? No, it does not. The beginnings is just very basic. It only allows you 2 rows at a time, and you have to decide how many rows down. Now, at the end of the show, I will give you a little coupon code to, you can upgrade from the beginnings to the pro and whatnot. So we're going to have a little coupon code. So let me just quickly show you a few more things. So that's 4-point placement. Man, I'm going to use that a lot more throughout the next year. So just know that this is just the beginning. I like free motion. I love the automation. And so we're going to show you a lot more of these features. I have been using them a heck of a lot during this last little time working on my quilts and on my tree skirts. So just click on OK and we're good to go. And I'm going to get out of here and I'm just going to go back to my pantograph screen. And we're going to, no, just say no. We're going to get out of here, go back to our pantograph screen. Hopefully one day. Notice that on this one, there we go. There's our pantograph screen. Now I can change my panel mode to easy mode and see what it's like. So when I change modes, notice that it takes the design away. So easy, I just want you to get in there and play with all the buttons to see what they do. Easy mode is, and Janet, she loves easy mode. It's one of her favorite modes to quilt designs. So anyway, I have learned to really appreciate the easy mode as well, knowing how it works. So if you have a 70 by 70 inch quilt and you want your design, let's see, oh, we have to select my pattern first, sorry. So let me go select my pattern. Let's do the same thing. We'll do the same one. Okay, and I want my design to be 7 inches. It's going to calculate with that pattern height how many across, designs across, and how many down. And then I just want to check on center. Yes, and it's going to. And this is where you get to learn and play and understand how it works and just have a good time. You can stagger it, you can flip it, but again, remember, and you can pull them together so they're closer together. Remember, whatever you do to the design, it could break those connections. So then, after you've got your design, you want to go and see what it's going to look like sewing in the zones. So this is a good chance for you to see what it looks like. So you just take it, you're going to click on sew in zones. And it's going to just take a minute for it. But this is your opportunity to understand the automation and not do anything to your quilt. Sorry guys, our connection's a little slow. We may be initializing a placement for a little while. Oh, okay, so this is great. I just ordered my automation yesterday to add to my current Baby Lock long arm machine. I'm so excited for getting this. Well, I'm excited for you because I know you'll love it. It is awesome. And then we don't want to save it. We just want to see what it does. But see, notice I would nest them together a little bit more. But this is your opportunity to just go and play and pull them together and nest them. Nesting is just pulling those designs together so they don't have that big a gap. And now notice I changed it from center to 4-point placement. So I now have my 4-point placement. So I want to go click on one corner. And then I want to go click on my other corner of my quilt. Come on, we can do this. All right, so that's my A and then my B. And then I want to click on that. It's going to take a second as well. Come on, come on, come on. Sorry, you know what? We shouldn't be this impatient. See what I did? It kind of stretched it out from that A to that B. Now C and D are optional, but if your quilt's not on exactly straight, C and D are great ways to kind of align them down there and pull them in and out. So you can have you notice it's got your lock width when you're using 4-point placement and lock height. So you want the height to be locked, and then you can make some adjustments as you're quilting. So just make sure that you go and play with the automation. I want you to get to know it. I want you to learn to love it. There are so many great things that you can do with the automation. So I'm going to quickly get out of this again and kind of show you basic mode, just really quick. And then we're going to jump in, and I'm just going to quickly show you just a real simple little rolling frame, hoop frame. And then, 4-point placements and the select and sew. Because I know I've talked your ears off today. And so let me go in and let's change our mode to basic really quick. Now basic kind of gives you that freedom to decide how many designs across and how many rows down you want and really hone in, and you are in control. And Janet says, I think everyone with beginnings should learn how to use easy mode in demo. Yes. It will tell you how many patterns across and rows down you are stitching. And it also will show you how many rows to nest, which is really great if you are able to do 1 row at a time with your machine. So yeah, really important. Easy mode really allows you to learn it with beginnings. So, and in beginnings, it's really important. So basic is just very basic. So we're back to it. So let's just do, let me do 25, okay, by 25. All right, now we went to basic. Let me just do a real simple design. And now you can decide how many patterns across you want, how many rows down. Now it's fun to stagger them. And we want to alternate. So we want to stagger. So now we have a staggered design across. So yeah, and you could pull it together if you wanted. You could just play. Now we just want to hurry and sew in zones and show you what that looks like. So, and no. But notice right here, because I changed in my zone manager, I have the stops and starts. So I could sew this in the center of my quilt and have it turn out really nice without sewing that line down. So, and just play. That's what I want to do. Notice how it's staggered. Now we have every other one across. So you kind of have this cool look, kind of diagonal look. So again, just get to know your automation in simulation mode. You can see what the alternate does. You can tap on all or none. You can see what the hearts do. They pull the design together. You can nest. You can fit. You can size them larger. You can move them so that they're a little more staggered. You can rotate. So if you rotate, what happens when you rotate is that you are turning those connections. See how I broke that connection? And I want to bring them back. So when you rotate, you can really break the connection. So when I go to sew in zones, no, see, I broke all those little connections. They're not connected. So come up here to optimize. And you want to, let's see what happens when I remove all. No, never want to connect the first and last points. But see, I have all those sewing lines, so I don't want to save that. I want to cancel that. Now I can go up into optimize, but you can go in and animate the stitching, because when I broke those connections, I flipped them so they're going another way. So it's going to be a little process to get it sewing the right way, but it's all in how you learn how to use it. And so I suggest you jump in and have a good time learning the automation. So jump in and do that and learn how to use it. And let's get out of this and let's get out of this again. Okay, so I've showed you how to use it. So let me just quickly show you the process. And no, I don't want to save my design. I'm going to come up here to my help, and I'm going to go into my settings, and I'm going to change from the rolling frame really quick, because I know more of you probably have rolling frames than hoops. And yes, I want to change my frame style, and I'm going to say, okay, now it's going to totally get me out of the automation. And I'm going to come back in, and I'm just going to show you an edge-to-edge design in the pantograph mode. And you can also use this playing around in the automation with Select and Sew, the Pattern CAD, the Quilt CAD. You can click on any button you want. If you get a runtime error, you just start it back up and don't do that same process again, because you've clicked on something that just doesn't know what you're doing. But you know, this is your time to learn and become really familiar with it. So let's go into the pantograph. And yes, we're going to say, okay, okay. So let's do a small little quilt. We're going to do my 25. Well, actually, I have to do it a little bigger. So let's do it 36, okay, by 36. I just wanted to show you, and I'm going to go into Power Panel. We're going to go and select our design. We're going to do this one right here. And it's decided how many. I just want it a little smaller. So I'm going to size it in. Keep sizing it in. There we go. Now let's do this. Now I'm going to sew in zones. And I'm going to show you in the zone manager just what it looks like. And we're going to throw through and just mark. So notice how in the zone manager, because I changed my frame, I just wanted to show you. We have 4-point placement. We don't want to alternate. And we want to alternate. I say okay. Okay, see what it did? So now I'm going to do my, oh, it didn't change my frame. Oh, we'll just do that and say okay. All right. And then we just want to say sew. So it's going to sew. And then I'm going to move to the next. Sew. move to next. So then it's going to have you mark your design and mark where you're going to place the next design or the next section. And we're finished with zone 1. Yes. Now we want to do a little single stitch, and we want to go to the next mark, and we want to do a single stitch there. So you're going to do 2 stickers because it's a hoop frame, and we're going to go to the next mark. Oh, and it says I'm done. So we only had 2 marks. So now we want to continue. Yes, yes. And then it's going to say okay, but see what it does, where it's going to move. Okay, so then that is where I'm going to click on my A, and then I'm going to click on my B, where my sticker was, and see how it angled it, and then you're just going to finish sewing that next section. So that's really how it works. Have fun with it, and then get to know the processes with it. I'm going to get out of this, but that's just part of what I'm going to show you. Throughout next year, we're going to have a lot of fun with automation and free motion quilting, because there's so many ways to quilt. Why limit yourself? So, for my exciting news, okay, I have a code for you. You can either call or you can put in online, and my code is for an extra 25% off. So this will work on the beginnings if you want it. It will also work with the Pro automation, and it will also work with an upgrade from beginnings to Pro, which I really, any way you want to quilt, we have it. So it's going to be TWG, Tuesdays with Grace, QCT 25 for an extra 5%. So you get 25% instead of 20% off, and the free shipping. So make sure you either call 800-264-0644 and get your automation, or you can go in online and do it. So I want to tell you what's coming up next week, and live and in person. Next week I'm going to be using quilting a triangle. I love my 60-degree triangle, so I'm going to do a strip quilt triangle. It can either be a table topper or a tree skirt, whatever one you want to do. And then the week after that, I am going to do a little quilt, gnome peeking quilt for Christmas. So you can make one really quick for the grandkids or the kids or whoever. And the week after that, I'm going to show you some of the cool features in the gold card features, and we're going to run a little promotion on that. Then I have a special surprise coming up in the right before the new year, just as my appreciation to you. So I look forward for you to join me, and I'm going to really make it worth your while. Any suggestions or ideas that you have that you'd like to see, because the simulation mode and me walking you through it was one of your ideas. So make sure that you're emailing me, Carla with a K, Karla @graceframe.com, and letting me know. And make sure that you're signing up for our new education website. Well, we have an education website and a Tuesdays with Grace. So go look around for that. The Tuesdays with Grace will give you all the past videos that we have done, and it'll let you catch up live. It also is very interactive, and it's going to allow you to post your quilts. So make sure you sign up and register for it. Thank you for joining me today. I have so much I want to show you, and so many things I want to do with you throughout the next year. So, and then okay. Brian is reminding me that the discount for the 25% off is good through December 5th. That's Sunday. So make sure you get it in by midnight Sunday, because midnight, it makes it Monday, and it won't be any good anymore. So anyway, it's TWG QCT 25, and if you want to, that phone number again, it's 800-264-0644, or just email me, and I'll have one of the one of the account executives contact you so you can talk it through with them. I just really want you to be able to quilt any way you want to quilt. So I will see you next week, live and in person. Thanks for watching. Take care. Goodbye.